I have had an issue with the Kenyan education system for a long time. When I came across an article that talked about natives replacing colonizers and not decolonizing the system, I realized exactly what was bothering me. My schooling experience, and especially how the education system framed history as a subject, felt very Eurocentric. So, to unwrap all this, I decided to go on 2 trips. First, to gain some perspective, I visited my former primary school. Then, I went to talk with the article's author. We are going to a primary school that I attended for 2 years. It's about 6 hours away from Nairobi, and it's also very close to my village, or rather where my parents were born and raised. This is the first place I felt like education is more than just the books, more than the subjects, or the information we're expected to learn. So I want to visit this school because that's where it all started. Over 2 decades have passed since I walked out of this gate. None of the current students here was even born when I left the school. I'm sure I will see my past self in them, and I wonder if they will see their future selves in me. My former mathematics teacher, Mr. Moriasi, with whom I share a name, is still here. I wonder if he will recognize me. I know a lot has changed, and I know a lot has stayed the same. So I'm really curious how it feels like. Let's go inside and see that. Habari? Oh my goodness. When the exams were over, I would come here and check for my name. This area right here, this was a tense place. When the teachers would paste the results, all the students would rush and everybody would be like, "Where's my name? Where's my name? Where's my name?" Wow. Now they're seeing me, they're seeing the camera, and I'm attracting a lot of attention. Am I?
Yes. You learn in this school?
Say what?
You learn in this school?
Yes, I was a student here.
Do you know Mr. Moriasi?
Yes. I'm gonna show you something. You see that?
Yes. Who are you there?
Which one do you think is me?
The middle one.
You see this picture?
Yes.
This picture, this was me 20 years ago, just like you guys. Actually, it has been precisely 22 years since I left this school. But more important than that was the experience I was about to have. However, to put things into perspective, I decided to visit Dr. Wandia, one of the educators who is the most vocal about issues facing Kenya's education system. Vipi? Naandika hapa? Itabidi umetupeleka? Aya, okay. Okay. Dr. Wandia is a senior lecturer at Daystar University. We discussed her article and why Kenya's education system hasn't changed since gaining independence. Good morning, Dr. Wandia. Okay, great.
When the colonialists come, they are coming to extract resources for industries in Europe. So they need labor. The missionaries were also spreading the gospel, I guess.
Yeah.
And central to the gospel is the ability to read the Bible. But the colonialists didn't want Africans to go to school at all because they were saying if we let these people go to school, they will challenge us. So there was a tension between the missionaries and the colonial government about whether Africans should go to school. And eventually they said, okay, if Africans are going to school, we'll let the missionaries do that work. Yeah. And in fact, actually, the colonialists said, okay, we can allow Africans to have education up to standard 4 in their languages. Mm-hmm. But we do not want Africans to go to school after standard 4, and we don't want them to learn English. So how did we get here?
That's a very interesting point, because all along, I used to think that our medium of instructions in school was always English because that's what the colonialists wanted. I just realized the other day that that was not the case. I would like to start by showing you a picture.
You are the one on the right?
Yes.
Oh, a small boy.
Can you remember my face?
Not really, you have really changed.
From those three characters.
Are you here?
Yeah, that's me.
Yeah, you are very tiny, brother.
The school was very strict on people not speaking Kisii language. Is that practice still on?
We still have it, and actually we have now even gone a notch higher. We are now encouraging them to speak English 5 days a week. The Kiswahili is given on weekends. So that means mother tongue has no place at all.
I was born in Nairobi, and going there, I felt like I would get a better chance to learn my local language because I will be interacting with kids who speak my local language very well, as opposed to me, who was born in the city where all my neighbors and the people I was interacting with were from other tribes, only to arrive in school, St. Andrew Kagwa, and to be whipped for speaking Kisii language. You did not allow us to speak Kisii?
Yeah, even nowadays we don't.
You don't?
We don't at all.
And then you...
Yes.
You whip those students?
No, nowadays we don't. We try to talk to them. You know that the government does not allow that.
Are you allowed to speak Kisii?
No.
You cannot speak Kisii?
Yep.
If you speak Kisii, what happens?
That is.
Okay, no, wait. Let me hear that from one person. I'll hear from you. When you speak Kisii, what happens?
You are being given the disc and you will be punished.
What type of punishment?
Like caves.
The disc is an ingenious way of keeping track of Gusii speakers. It's a circular piece of wood passed from one student to another. At the end of the week, you have a chain that you can trace to the first person. Then all the Gusii speakers are paraded around and action is taken accordingly. I'm being punished for trying to be me because I always felt like my local language was part of my identity. So they are whipping my identity out of me. That was the feeling.
What you were experiencing was not just about the language. It was saying you must be reduced to a vessel who will do a job for an employer or for the government. But who you are, what you want, where you come from, we don't care about that.
Let's see if I can still fit inside this. Yeah, I can. Oh, yeah. Wow. This was where we used to assemble for the school meetings in the morning, every morning. And right there is where I would be whooped for trying to speak Kisii. Today, because of exams and the environment and the weather, it's very conducive for them to hold the exams here. You can see everywhere inside the school, we have some writings on the wall, like we have the 10 Commandments there. They take the religious practices very seriously. Man, this is so nostalgic. Wow. Let me ask you a question. If I go into the streets of Nairobi right now and ask them who discovered Mount Kenya, what would they tell me?
It was Dr. Ludencraft, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, I think the people in Mount Kenya had already discovered it. It's just the white people who come there and say that they were the first to discover. So you mean that the people who lived there in Mount Kenya never had eyes to see? I know you want me to mention the European name, but I'm not going to do it.
How can the person who discovered Mount Kenya come from somewhere else, yet there were people living there?
Yeah. That's from your own point of view.
And what's your point of view?
Okay, according to my point of view, from what we are taught in schools,
yes,
we are told that it's the explorers and missionaries who are able to discover these places.
Is that still the case with our history books, with the content of our history books, and not just history, all the other subjects as well?
That is still very much the case. We may have removed those discovery lines, but...
Yeah, now it's, I checked again, now it's the first European to see. Why is that of interest to me as opposed to how the locals used to interact with that mountain?
What you have now raised is how did that curriculum enter our education system? It is very bizarre because there were so many materials by Africans, even other European people who are not coming for the colonial project. When we get independent, first of all, the people who entered independence were already trained by the colonizers. So no matter what new innovations we try to come up with, policymakers are trained to think of education in a certain way.
But don't you think this is our system and we are supposed to build that system?
I think Kenya is still colonized because we are following other people's system.
This was our school playing field. This is where I would come and run, exercise my muscles. It was so much fun to be here. Guys, what are you doing? Enjoy. I was in a bookshop and I just saw a history book from back in the days, and I opened it, and by chance I came through a KCSE question that was asking, among the following, what are some of the problems that were faced by the missionaries in spreading Christianity? The only correct answer was hostile locals. Yes. What are some of the problems that the missionaries faced when they were spreading Christianity?
Oh, that's an easier one.
Okay.
Okay, so first and foremost, we had the diseases. Second, we also had the hostility from the communities.
I cannot describe myself as a hostile local if I am trying to repel something that is trying to come and take over something that I have. So I'm not necessarily being hostile. I could be hostile, yes, but it is me trying to defend myself. When the Kenya Institute of Curriculum Development introduced the competency-based curriculum in 2017, there was hope for progress. However, years later, the CBC system has a lot of problems and has not addressed the issue of why we educate.
It's a good system. We are moving towards a right direction, but the problem is we have not really understood what's going to happen. Yeah.
As parents, we don't have information about the CBC. We don't even know the selection process. We don't know which schools they are going to. So we're in the dark. We know nothing.
I like it. We have embraced it. Only a few challenges.
Yes.
When you are giving them a test, you require many papers. You print. So that can be a cost. In some areas like that, it can be expensive.
Kenyans, you want a story of they sat down, considered and thought this is the best thing. They had research.
Yeah.
There is no research supporting CBC. I'm telling you.
So even if I go looking for that,
you will not find it. We are not preparing the next generation using the legacy and the knowledge that we have. What we are doing is preparing kids for employers and for civil service. And even the education officials themselves said that we don't want so much knowledge, we want skills, which was exactly what the colonialists said. The question of why do we educate is not in the media and it's not in public discourse. This is the first interview a journalist has asked me the questions you're asking. I'm never asked, what is your experience as a teacher? The solution is to build an alternative narrative. So what you're doing, that's what we all need to do. We need to build an alternative narrative of education so that we pressure the education system to change. But just keeping on asking 844 CBC, it's not going to help us answer the questions.
What an experience that was for me. I knew what I was going to see. I had expectations and they were met plus more. Shukran. It was a really good experience for me to come back and visit where I started questioning the education system. And also, we spoke to the teachers and they also have some issues with the CBC, but they are happy with some of the changes that it has brought. They just need more support from the government. The students, most of them don't even know what's going on. This was me 22 years ago, happy, playful, and disciplined, but inquisitive about the world around me. I am curious as to what questions these students have, and I wonder if it will take another 22 years for them to find answers. They are tomorrow's so-called leaders, and I hope they're asking the right questions.